right?
We're outside, probably.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, we are live.
Just a moment. It's hooking up right now.
So I can see myself there. Okay, can you guys see yourself? Are you close?
No,
Okay.
it's the screen.
Better? Okay, so I need to be here.
All right, you are live on KW Coastal Shares.
All right, sounds good. Hi guys, it's Deborah Bell. We are coming to you today from Cerritos for our lab house. I'm going to introduce to you ALC member Janet Darrow and an up-and-coming agent who has had much success here is Leslie Campos. And they are going to be talking a lot about Leslie's listing. It's had a bunch of activity and she's going to be in escrow here soon. So I want you to listen real closely, all the things that she has done to prepare the home. And then we're going to talk about the home and the neighborhood. So give it to you, girls.
Okay, so Leslie, let's start in front of the home here. What can you tell me about the outside of the house, about this neighborhood? So this neighborhood in particular is in a great location of Cerritos. It's very centrally located. We are just a block or so away from the town center, which is an outdoor development that includes our Performing Arts Center. It includes the Sheraton Hotel, a lot of office complex. It's a good mix of commercial space. We're close to one of the best high schools in our district, which is Whitney High School. It is a hot commodity here for Cerritos residents. It's ranked #3 in the nation. The neighborhood itself, we're in a great interior space. There is a park, and Deborah will pan over, or she'll pan over a little bit, and you'll see that Cerritos is also known as Tree City, USA, and that's because the city has really worked hard to develop a lot of green space for its residents. We have 18 parks throughout the city, and keep in mind, the city itself is only 8.8 square miles, so it's not very big. So we have 8 parks that include general playgrounds, but aside from that, we have 3 major facilities, which is Cerritos Park East, and there you'll find a full baseball complex, tennis courts, racquetball, the works. And along with that, in the 80s, we built an Olympic-sized swim center, which housed the athletes from the Olympics that we were hosting. We have Regional Park, which is on the southeast side of Cerritos, and that park it's like 84 acres in total, and it has like 2 lakes. It has its own outdoor Olympic-sized pool, and the same, right? Baseball, multiple complex of softball diamonds. It has basketball courts, tennis, the works. And then we have Liberty Park, which is on the west side. Same type of thing, doesn't have a pool, but it has all the other amenities, including sand court for volleyball, all that kind of stuff. So this neighborhood is great. It's nice and quiet. You'll find that a lot of the Cerritos neighborhoods are very, very quiet. They were built primarily by S&S builders way back when. Well regarded. Right, and Cerritos prides itself on uniformity. So when you go from neighborhood to neighborhood, you will find that there's maybe about 4 or 5 models in each of the developments, and then they kind of just rotate, whether it's a little bit more traditional in exterior style or maybe a little bit Spanish, because Cerritos was named by the Spanish explorers who were here. Cerritos actually means little hills, which we no longer have any natural hills. We've leveled the place, but you know, you'll find that all the homes are very uniform in style. So, and they're very strict about that. You have to get a lot of approvals from the city to do any changes to your home. So they want to make sure that the city stays in a very uniform fashion. So,
and Cerritos is a fairly new city, isn't it?
It is. It's only 64 years old. So we used to be called Dairy Valley back in the 50s, 60s.
Recently.
And they incorporated, Cerritos actually incorporated, or Dairy Valley incorporated in 64. And we had at that time about 400 dairies and over 100,000 cows. The place smelled wonderful back then. And I think we actually were outnumbered 29-1 cows to residents at that time. So in the early 70s, it has changed a little bit. In the early 70s, we had our greatest boom, and that's when development just started to go crazy.
And that's an important point in Cerritos, is that
because it's a new city, unlike Long Beach, you don't have neighborhoods that have grown up over, the course of 100 years
Right.
or so. Everything is fairly new here.
Correct. Everything is fairly new here. I mean, the development in general has continued. The city is really good about putting money back into the city for development, community, services, their parks and recreation. They're really big on making sure they give back to their residents. So, the Performing Arts Center, that whole development, I think, was made in like the 80s, around that time frame. Late 90s. So, a lot of that stuff has just kind of come to pass over the years. We have the Auto Square, which brings in a lot of money for us, Cerritos Mall. And in the last few years, they've made a good transition of transforming our mall from some of the lower end stores to some of the higher end stores.
Mm-hmm.
We now carry a Coach. We now have a Michael Kors. We're trying to transition into some of those higher brands to kind of set us apart from what's offered at the Lakewood Mall or at Stonewood, which is in Downey.
Mm-hmm.
So
now with the neighborhoods here, they're kind of all planned neighborhoods, correct?
they're all planned developments.
Okay. Now, are there HOA fees in any of these planned developments?
We have a few gated communities. Shadow Park is our largest gated community. Homes in there will average about 3,000 square feet and will be over that $1 million point range. And over there, though, the HOA fees are only $234.
Wow.
So it's very
Nice.
reasonable considering what you're getting in that development in this city, in your location.
And all of the with all of the building being roughly of the same age, I think one thing that's important to note is that things might age at the same time. So everybody's going to be experiencing a similar situation as their community ages.
So, I am a long-term resident of Cerritos. I grew up here. I've been here since I was 6. And, we have a few community Facebook pages. One of them is just a general Facebook page. And on that one, you'll find a lot of residents asking for, referrals. I need a plumber, I need a roofer, those kinds of things, because we are getting to that point where things are starting to fall apart, so to speak, right? We're aging out of its ability to function properly. So a lot of plumbing is now starting to kind of go. We are concrete slab foundations. And so even myself 2 years ago, we had a slab leak. And so we had to have the house replumbed to avoid that leak. And we put in some PEX pipes. So, if you have clients looking in the area, check to see that it has copper or PEX plumbing, that things have started to be upgraded, because it's going to start happening. The city has planted all of these trees in the front yards, and those are our responsibility as residents to maintain, although the city is the one who puts them in. And so a lot of those have now started to interfere with the main water lines, which are at the curb. So if that happens, the tree is technically your responsibility. So that water line damage is also your responsibility. So, the tree will come, the city will come out and they will cut the roots if you put in a claim for it, but then you're responsible for fixing the pipe. So, keep some of those things in mind.
Now let's start looking at your house itself.
Sure.
Now, what can you tell me? I mean, these are like beaver cleaver homes.
They are very beaver cleaver homes. And this particular model is very original. They really have not done anything.
How old is this house?
It's from 72. 1972 is when this house was built. And so other than
So this is right in the boom.
This is right in the boom, exactly. Cerritos started development in little pockets around the city, but you'll find too that on the west side of Cerritos, most of the homes are smaller. So I live on the west side. My home is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It is only 1,500 square feet. This is a 4-bedroom, 2.25 bath, and it's 2,160 square feet. So just for a little perspective,
So the homes are getting bigger as time goes on.
Yes, as time goes on and you move further east in the city, the homes do get a little bit bigger.
And what about the yards? Do the yards get bigger or smaller?
The yards get a little bit bigger as well.
Okay.
So,
Because that's in other neighborhoods, I'm noticing more new builds tend to be on smaller lots. So that's kind of an anomaly.
We do have a few newer communities that was, you know, a random plot of land that somebody was holding on to for quite some time and then recently built. And when I say recent, I mean, you know, maybe in the early 2000s. And in that case, you will find exactly that, a ginormous house on a plot of land and no yard because they've built house to the 5-foot, you know, property line. So there is some of that, but it's not very often you see that in Cerritos.
So now one thing I was noticing is you have the tile roof.
We do. This was upgraded. I'm not certain when it was upgraded, but it's not a traditional Spanish clay. So, you know, the city is also really good about when you do upgrades, they try to encourage you to do them with better products so that things last longer. You know, they try to keep you away from the standard shingled roofs or away from the clay. If you want the clay look, then you go with whatever this alternative composition is.
Well, tiled roofs in general last a lot longer.
Absolutely.
So they're more expensive,
Yes.
but there's the payoff is that they last a lot longer. You might have to fix the underneath of it, but probably not the roof itself. So one tip when you're buying a house or looking at a house as an agent is to try and determine if there's cracked tiles on the roof, how much maintenance it needs.
Right.
Yeah.
And Janet, you had commented previously that a home inspector will also have a camera
Yeah, they usually
that they
do.
can look at the roof
Yeah,
rather than having to walk on it for any
Yes,
reason.
Yes. And nowadays, I think you know, make sure that you're getting a roof inspection. Sometimes they'll just look out a window, but mostly they have drones and things now. They'll just fly up, take a snapshot of the roof. And it's something you can even include in your listing photos.
Right.
Too.
Perfect.
So why don't we start working our way in?
Okay. Let's go
We're
inside.
good? All right. We'll take it inside. Yes. Thank you. Sorry about the motion on the camera, but we are mobile. Mobile. And I'm going to put it up here on the mantle. Real quick. Sure we keep our charge going.
Doing great, ladies. Julie Folsick and Hallie said hello.
Hi guys. All right, let's keep going with the interior a little bit.
So, go ahead. Yeah, I can just point out things that you talked about, but why don't you walk us through what you've done in here?
So this home was quite original on the interior. It was a lovely shade of bright road hazard orange and lime green.
Road hazard.
Some avocado shag carpeting. Every wall had some form of wallpaper that I'm pretty certain was from the 70s. And we came in and we did attempt to use the concierge program. We called them. They were so willing to come out promptly, give us an estimate. I will say that the estimate, I think, shocked my client a little bit. They just weren't expecting, you know, the cost to be so much. But we continued to work with them. The contractor was willing to adjust his bid. He gave us alternative options. And we probably cut the estimate down in half.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they were on a very delayed timeline because they're so overwhelmed. They actually couldn't service us for at least 2 weeks. So at that point, my client just said she was going to pass because she wanted everything done immediately so we could just go live and she could be done with it. So
Are you hearing her okay through the mask?
Yes, we can hear.
okay. So in the end, I think she has put in total about $20,000 into the property. And what we had done was everything was fully painted inside and out. All the popcorn was scraped off of the ceilings throughout the whole home.
Yes.
We had recessed lighting installed downstairs, in the stairwell, and in the hallway, so not the bedrooms. We did new fixtures in the bathrooms. All the cabinets were repainted, new blinds throughout, and new carpeting. So, you know, the laminate flooring that's here is original well, not necessarily original, but it was here and we just changed the carpeting.
Now, before you did these changes, what do you think you would have listed for before, and what do you think the difference is? And how much did you put in to get that
So
much out?
when I pulled comps initially on it, we were looking at probably 750.
Okay.
And we went live on Monday at 855. So
And offers are kind of coming in.
offers are coming in well over asking.
Right.
Yes.
So it's been money well spent.
It has been money very well spent, absolutely. And that's one thing about Cerritos, because it's such a hot market, people truly will pay anything they have to get into a Cerritos home, especially if you're within those Whitney boundaries. It's truly driven by the schools. So, that's just something to keep in mind and pay attention to those boundaries, because just because you're a Cerritos resident doesn't mean you're eligible for Whitney. Whitney is a public school, and I don't know how they go about this, but you have to test to get into Whitney, and you still have to be within the school's boundaries. So people really want very specific streets in order to, get there.
If a family lived outside of the boundaries of Whitney, could you petition to be there?
You could petition,
But no guarantee.
there's never a guarantee when you petition school of choice.
Sure.
But you certainly could. And again, your child would still have to test to get in.
Right.
And if you are an ABC district student, you have a more likely chance of getting in. There are just a handful of neighborhoods that fall short of ABC. My neighborhood is one of those. I'm right on the border.
Missed
near-
it by that much.
I missed it literally by one street. So unfortunately, where my house is located, I am Bellflower Unified. So, people think, oh, I'm moving to Cerritos and I get to be a part of that district. That's not necessarily
Yeah,
the
so be
case.
careful of the neighborhood. You really want to check if you're going to a neighborhood for a specific school.
Right.
Definitely.
Good. So let's,
Can we get rolling again?
yeah, let's go walking.
All right. We girls are moving.
So some very typical things of Cerritos homes, you'll find that they have this formal living room, dining room combo, where one half of the room will be your living room area, which would be over here. And then immediately right off of that, you would find your dining space. Unless you're in one of the larger homes, like a Shadow Park type home, you're gonna find that your dining room's probably gonna accommodate only about a table for 6 comfortably. So that's just something to keep in mind also. A lot of the 2 stories don't even have the ability to have that open concept because this is load bearing, right? So you're always gonna have a post at a minimum if you did any renovations. So just keep that in mind also.
Okay.
So directly off the dining room, you have the kitchen.
The microphone.
Yeah. You just stay close.
So maybe you stand on this side so you can see the kitchen.
Good idea.
And you'll find that this is also a very common kitchen size in a Cerritos home. They tend to be on the smaller side. Mine, when I first moved in, was even smaller. And we've kind of that kind of thing. So this is very common in Cerritos homes.
So I want to ask you also to remind everybody what you did in this kitchen, because it does look very clean and ready to go. And it
So
was fairly minimal.
when we first came in, sadly, the woman that lived here, I believe she was taken for a ride. She spent $20,000 to redo her kitchen 5 years ago. And that was including the fact that she maintained her original enamel sink, which we've now changed to stainless. It included these Corian countertops, and all she did was reface all of the cabinets.
Wow.
But the color she chose for refacing, unfortunately, was also very dated. It was very 70s in terms of color. It was a weird orangey brown color, and it looked like, unfortunately, a cheap laminate. So we've gone ahead and repainted all of the cabinets. So we didn't change them, we just repainted them. But, it looks fresh at least. It looks new from the outside, So
And
it's-
of course, when you're staging a home, it's good to keep the counters fairly clear.
Right.
So
Especially-
there's not a real lot of counter space here.
Exactly.
So I think that's something, just real simple things. And I want to show you this,
I love it.
if you can see it.
Oh, and don't forget the cookies.
It was stained, yeah, well, the cookies.
And this, telling people don't touch, just general reminders.
And let's share a little too about your stager.
My stager is my 18-year-old daughter who just graduated high school. So whenever I have a listing that's vacant, I ask her to do some staging for me. I do believe that even the smallest of touches make something feel personal for people. And it, if it's something new and it's something modern, it also is a little enticing, right? Because they start to see the possibility of what they can do. So in a home like this, I think it shows very well there really wasn't a need to put in furniture, but we did do the kitchen and we did the bathrooms. So adds a little pop of color here and there and gives it a little life. Should we head outside? Sure.
The air conditioning is on. Hopefully you can still hear us. Maybe I'll take it off just in case. So it's a little more clear. Yard space. Cerritos tends to not have exceptionally large yards, generally speaking. On some of the bigger homes, you will find these larger lots. This one has this slope back here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a slope here with a large wall. That's a sound barrier wall. We back up to Shoemaker. Janet's headed out there so you can check out her screen. I don't want to lose my hotspot. We are, that is true. We do not lose the hotspot. So this is a sizable yard. And as you can see, maybe we can peek. I'm going to point to it right here. We're going to raise this up a little bit. You can see that the neighbor across the way actually has a unit in his backyard. Now, I don't know if that unit is specifically necessarily an ADU, but you could be using it as a workshop or gardening center, whatever. Might even be a guest quarters, right? Whatever. It could be. It certainly could be. So, that's not super common. I mean, I have 20 feet from my house to the wall in my backyard. So this size lot is quite nice, actually. And in this particular unit, it has, some really mature trees, which is also nice. They've clearly been here a long time. We've got this magnolia, which is creating a lot of shade for the property, and this avocado tree, which, that alone sells the property.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of traffic and Shoemaker with it's the air conditioning.
Yeah.
The wine noise here is our air conditioning, and having that big retaining wall to block it is actually quite nice. It makes it very secluded feeling in the yard. That's one thing about Cerritos also. They're really good, again, about worrying about their residents. So in my neighborhood, we back up to the Cerritos Auto Square, where they store their cars. So what they did was those houses that back up to what's the riverbed, and then subsequent to that, the Auto Square, they built a 15-foot noise barrier wall. And that was on Cerritos' dime. They did that for the residents. Nice. So that's very nice. And again, this street was not here originally. And then they decided, I don't know, in the 80s maybe, that they needed another pass through. So they developed Shoemaker as a through street. And when they did, they built this very nice sound barrier for the residents.
So they're very resident conscious.
They're very resident conscious, which is
nice.
exciting. Yeah. Did you do anything back here to prep for the sale? I did nothing back here except for water the grass. Okay. So we did little things. The seller, I advised her to come out and just get not a pressure washer, but just a good strong nozzle, and she hosed everything down so that it looks fresh and it looks clean. So it definitely brightened up the space, but other than that, we really didn't do anything.
Oh, shall we head back in?
Now, what kind of flooring do you have here? This is just a standard laminate flooring.
Did it come with the house original, or is that something that's been added?
It's something that the owner upgraded to at some point, perhaps when she did the kitchen, and we left it. It's in generally good condition. It might not be the most desirable color per se for today's current market. But what we did also is, because she didn't want to spend money to redo the kitchen and redo the bathrooms, I suggested to her that when we paint the house, we play off of that Korean countertop
as our main color theme. And it kind of runs in that beige brown tone. So we kept the flooring and we went with a Swiss coffee and then a very pale beige on the wall. So it's rather complementary. So. Off this main family room area, it has its own laundry area, which is also nice. A lot of homes that have attached garages, generally speaking, you'll find that the laundry room is in the garage. But in this case, it has its own room and it's quite large. So if you as a homeowner wanted to maybe consider putting a laundry area into your garage, what you could do is open up this wall perhaps, making your family room bigger. You could potentially bathroom that's on the other side of this wall into a larger bathroom, maybe a proper bathroom with a, you know, so it has some converting possibilities. That's an option. And through here, is just a standard 2-car garage. No frills, other than the fact that they have added some plywood up above for general storage. So other than that, typical
Nice size. Yeah. Workbench, nice.
I can't open the back of my tail of my car in my garage. Yeah.
Oh, then we have half bath
So we
here.
have the quarter bath down here. And this is just on the opposite side of the laundry area. So like I said, you know, it's possible that you could break out the wall and turn it into a proper bath. You know, if you really needed an additional bedroom space, you could convert a portion of this, you know, in some way and make it a
Very
bedroom.
spacious family room. Yeah,
Right.
very
And still have
spacious.
a good, like, little maybe breakfast nook or something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right.
We should ask if anyone has questions
Yeah.
so far.
Patricia,
Yes,
how are we doing? Any questions?
no questions so far.
Okay, we're gonna head upstairs.
all right, so under the staircase, there's just a nice little coat closet, which is always good storage downstairs. Storage is always a factor in Cerritos homes. There just tends to never be enough. And
Right.
you'll see, that's one storage location. And that is the second storage location. That is your linen space right there. That's about the extent of it.
Got it.
So
All right.
immediately upstairs on the left, we have the master bedroom. And this is a quite large space. Generally speaking, rooms in Cerritos homes are a little bit on the smaller side. This one comes with a fireplace. It also comes with 2 closets, which is really nice. This is a standard closet in your Cerritos homes for a master bedroom. It'll be this kind of giant, heavy metal door, like an earthquake in here.
Right, right.
And this one also has a walk-in closet though, which is nice. And this bathroom vanity in your master bedroom is super, super common.
That was the 70s thing.
I hate it, but it's here. I don't like looking at my sink from the bed, but that's very common. And this is also very common, small, tiny little shower toilet combination. So.
I like the window above them. Looks like that might be a new replacement window that they could have installed at some point.
You know, I think the window location is original,
Mm-hmm.
but everything has dual pane windows, so they have updated that. And it'd be nice if they either trimmed the magnolia or removed it, because then it would certainly bring in some more light in
Lighting.
here, which would be really nice. So,
Sure.
There's certainly enough space in this nook to reconfigure things if somebody wanted to jig things around. in
So
the
one of the
future.
things that we had discussed with the concierge was to actually put in a wall right here,
Mhm.
Oh, mm-hmm.
right? Put in a wall right here with a pocket door and create a proper ensuite,
Mm-hmm.
which would be really nice and would make this home stand out from other Cerritos homes. So that would have been a great feature. We were also looking at the cost of putting in
Double.
dual sinks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even potentially taking a little bit of this closet, maybe not all of it,
Mhm.
but a little bit of the closet to expand the bathroom into a larger
Mhm.
bathroom space.
Mm-hmm. So as
So-
ready as this home now is, there's still room for some improvements should somebody choose to
Honestly-
expand on what is here.
Honestly, I believe that in this neighborhood with some of these types of upgrades, if you put in, you know, some nice
quartz countertops, you know, redid the flooring to laminate. We made it a little bit more, even more current than it is. I think you could probably push the number of 100,000, quite honestly.
Good.
I think that's very doable.
Cool.
So,
All right, we have a couple more bedrooms.
So we got 3 more fairly standard bedrooms up here. This is a very typical bedroom for the city. It's generally like about a 10 by 10 maybe. That's a very typical size. And now that we're up here, we'll look at it from the other bedroom. Maybe
okay.
we can peek at what they've got in the backyard.
It
Just to give you some ideas of what you could do. This is also an exceptionally large bathroom for Cerritos.
really is.
So, and again, we looked at the option of potentially putting in dual vanities in here as well and redoing the shower, which, you know, still has some fairly original plain white tiles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no frills, but upgraded could really bring in some nice value. And then just 2 more bedrooms.
One here, good sized closet there.
Well,
Let's
You
go
gotta-
this way.
you gotta stick with yours.
And another closet
Where
here.
the microphone. So we can't really see the little shed that they have in the back, but what we can see is that they've tiered that slope,
Mm-hmm.
which also could be a good use of space, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe you have different levels of entertaining
Sure.
that you could do, you know.
Looks like they have some gardening, there's seating.
Exactly. So,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, that's the extent of this place. You guys have any questions? Happy to answer them.
Anything else?
Yeah, does anybody have any more questions on Cerritos itself? I mean, maybe you could go a little bit more into detail of what Cerritos requires from the citizens. You were saying one thing was no parking on the street.
Yeah, so Cerritos has its own sheriff's department. And so to aid in offsetting the cost of having the need for a lot of sheriffs overnight, they've enforced parking restrictions. So we're not allowed to park on the street between 2 and 5 a.m. without a parking permit. Now, in order to acquire the permit, you have to have 4 drivers and 4 cars at the same residence for 1 permit, and 5 drivers and 6 cars for the second. And there are no permits after that. So you get 2 per household, but within that criteria. So that has helped ease a lot of the deputies' needs, which has helped our budget. That way, you know, if you as a resident see something and you know that car doesn't belong there and you call in, they're likely to come and check things out. We also support surrounding cities as needed, but Lakewood is right, you know, adjacent to us. They have their own sheriff's department and they actually service Norwalk, Wine Gardens. We don't. So Cerritos is truly just Cerritos, which is great on our response time. You call and they come. We have very low crime rate here. I think we've had 2 classified murders in all the years that I've been here, and both of those occurred outside of the city and the bodies were left here. So we just don't have that kind of crime here anywhere. The majority of our crime is, you know, car break-ins. And generally speaking, when you talk to those people, it's they left the car unlocked. So they went, you know, rummaging through. And that will be because you live maybe off of one of the riverbeds. So it's easy for the transients to come off the riverbed and, you know, just wander the neighborhoods. We don't have much of a problem in terms of people even coming around and picking through your trash. We just don't have those kinds of issues here, which is really nice for us as residents.
So if somebody's going to buy, so you have low crime and you have good schools.
Yep.
If somebody was going to buy in Cerritos, what's kind of the lowest price point you can find in Cerritos?
Honestly,
And I know it's changing. I mean, the market's just
Right.
crazy right now. But
honestly,
in
I
general.
think the lowest price point you would find in maybe one of the outerlying neighborhoods that are maybe like on the border of Lakewood Wine Gardens or Bellflower, maybe 650,
Okay.
maybe.
But that'd be pushing it.
That would be
on the low
pushing
end.
it,
Okay.
correct. And our homes can go all the way up to close to 2 million
Okay.
if you're in a bigger home in Shadow Park or one of the gated communities.
Okay.
Cool. Anything you would like to share? I think we're right about at our time slot. So
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you, Janet, for coordinating these lab houses. They've always been very informative. I know the really look forward to it.
Mystic has a question. Can you-
Go ahead.
She asked, are you finding that in a house that size, have they added a berm on the first floor? I don't know if she means beam or berm. Because I know that a berm is like what's outside.
Yeah. Who was that asking the question?
Julie Folsick.
Oh, Julie. So are there any beams that needed to be added? Let's cover it in case that was the word that was chosen.
I mean, if we're looking at a beam in terms of support structure, nothing needed to be done here.
Because there was no walls moved, right? Or
There were no walls moved here. So, you know, as far as construction goes, that wasn't an issue for us. I do know that like other homes, you know, neighbors of mine have pulled out load bearing walls and so forth and have put beams in. You know, again, you do that at your own risk, and the city really would push for you to pull appropriate permits to have that kind of work done, especially if it's structural, just to make sure you don't have any issues.
sure.
But
And
truth-
smartest to do it with a contractor versus your own
Absolutely,
decisions.
absolutely. But truth be known, what you do inside your house, the city really doesn't know.
Right.
You know, but I mean, they're pretty strict. If you looked at their community guidelines, they would say, oh, you're installing a new dishwasher, you need to pull a permit.
Mm,
You know, I don't personally think that that's necessary, but that's my opinion.
right.
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 So,
Good. Anybody else, Tricia?
My question about Cerritos, my father a long time ago looked into living there, and he said that they limit your colors that you can paint your house on the outside. Is that correct?
it is absolutely true. So as far as your home goes, again, Cerritos is all about uniformity. So they have a color palette that you can choose from. I do believe most people do not ask for permission to paint their homes. And I think as long as you don't choose something like purple or a bright pink or it's along those lines, the city's really never going to know that you painted your home. They're just looking for everybody to stay within those kind of muted neutral tones. They don't want any home to stand out or draw attention. You know, same thing applies to your yard. Cerritos will not allow you to park on your grass. They will not allow you to park on the, I don't know what you call it, the entry to your driveway.
The apron.
The apron,
Yes,
yeah.
the apron. They won't allow you to park there. If your grass is not maintained, if it's too brown, they'll cite you. If it's too tall, they'll cite you. You need to maintain a 60-40 softscape, hardscape rule in your landscaping. Your driveway cannot be more than 25 feet wide on a 2-car garage, and I think it's 30 on a 3-car garage. You know, they have lots of restrictions when it comes to the exterior home. And as much as it sounds petty and trivial and all those kinds of things, as a Cerritos resident, I completely appreciate it because we don't get those neighbors who park their junk on their driveway. We
They're not working on the engine.
Absolutely. You
Grass.
can't have a boat parked in your driveway if it's not covered. You can't park RVs in your front. It has to be parked in your back behind a gate. You
So
know,
the
and it must
beauty
be
of the curb
covered.
appeal is kept because of these restrictions that may sound a little
Absolutely.
crazy, but they're to benefit the homeowners.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
it means also it's not for everybody.
It is not for everybody.
The
and
rule
that's-
breakers are not gonna like it here.
Absolutely. The other thing I'll say about our community is we're a fairly close community. So I'm a neighborhood watch captain for my neighborhood, and we have a WhatsApp group that's just for our neighborhood. Many of the neighborhoods do this. Their neighborhood watch captain set that up. We all tier up to one of the sheriffs who runs the program. So we get immediate feed from them regarding live statistics, live activity. So we always know like what's happening in our neighborhoods or surrounding neighborhoods. You know, so that's a great thing too. And it helps with our safety, right? Our neighborhood watch is tremendous. And I honestly think that's what keeps our numbers down as well.
Cool, cool. Anybody else, Tricia? Do you know if we addressed Julie's question?
Nothing else. No other questions.
Okay,
All right.
good, good. Well, I do again want to thank Janet for hosting and coordinating this. And Leslie, I just have to say, compliments to Leslie.
Yeah.
As a listing agent, this is really important that you have knowledge on not just the home, but the community. And her wealth of knowledge that she shared today, it goes beyond that because we had chats yesterday, Leslie and Janet and I, And there's a lot more. So if you have questions on Cerritos, please reach out to Leslie. I'm sure she'll be glad to share. It's part of being a listing agent, a strong listing agent, to know your communities, know your home. And I just compliment her on doing such a fabulous job of being familiar. I love the idea of the block captain or the community captain, where they have that WhatsApp group. We as agents could initiate that within the communities that you want to focus and stay connected to. So think about those things. And as a closing, just give us your the comment on the home, the price, the condition, or the bedrooms and bath, and then how many offers you're currently sitting on and when they're due.
Okay, so we went live on Monday. It is listed at 855,000. It is a 4-bedroom, 2 and 1/4 bath, 2160 square feet on a 5,700 square foot lot in the heart of Cerritos. And we currently have 9 offers, well above asking.
Wow. That's awesome. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, if nobody else has any more questions, that's from We Girls. We'll see you all again later. Bye. All right, take care.
Bye.